Hi and welcome to the 2013 Market Wrap-Up, where we'll look at the year that's passed and what's to come in 2014. And to start off, we have Tom Hawley, a credit advisor from Shore Financial, R&W's lending partner and financial group. So Tom, we've seen some interesting developments in interest rates in 2013 and hit a new record low.
That's right, Santos. 2013 has been an interesting year for interest rates and mortgages in particular. The RBA has been cutting rates since 2011, and we've seen two cuts this year in May and in August. We're now sitting, as you said, at an all-time low of 2.5%, and mortgage rates are also at an all-time low. We're seeing more and more borrowers taking advantage of these low rates, with a higher proportion of people fixing in all or part of their mortgages in 2013 than the long-term average.
And the RBA has just announced the cash rate will remain on hold at 2.5%.
Initially the market was signalling another cut either late this year or early next year, but sentiment has since changed, and the market is now signalling that rates are going to rise in the second half of 2014. We can see that, evidenced quite nicely by the implied yield curve taken from the ASX website. We can see it starts to tick up just after July, August.
So where do you see interest rates in 2014?
In summary, although we don't expect variable rates to increase aggressively anytime soon, the current easing cycle does look to be over, and the recent movement in fixed rates tend to be supporting this notion.
Great, thanks Tom. With record low interest rates, it's caused what's been recorded to be a so-called bubble in the market, causing some of the biggest growth in some suburbs, with record number of auctions and clearance rates, raising the average price of Sydney units and houses. With the final week of spring bringing out the biggest number of auctions for the year at 3,400 auctions nationally and over 900 in New South Wales. And yet another 120 auctions due on the Saturday just 4 days before Christmas, double last year's. In the recent month, there has been an increase up to 150% more properties being sold in the Sydney market, predominantly in northwest of Sydney in areas such as Kellyville, Bella Vista, Auburn, Marylands and Guildford, according to local agents. Dr. Andrew Wilson, the senior economist for Australian Property Monitors, expects that the number of buyers will not continue to support the flood of properties going to auction. The Sydney property market is cooling coming to the year's end and losing some of its heat, some agents say just a few weeks out from Christmas. Some of the hotspot suburbs picked by Dr. Wilson of Australian Property Monitors as offering the best prospects for price growth has already beaten inflation just over the first 6 months of the year, picking Fairfield, Blacktown, St Ives, Rudy Hill, Leatheridge Park and Macquarie Fields as housing hotspots, just to name a few. To date, the top performer being Fairfield, just 29 kilometres west of Sydney, raising the median house price by 12.1% to $474,000, followed by Blacktown at 9.2% and St Ives at 5.8%. Agents are not expecting autumn to be a strong spring due to the rise in unemployment and the prospect of interest rates rising in the middle of next year, and investors no longer seeing value due to rising prices and falling yields. And we have Vas here from Core Property Management Consultant, who's here to talk about rental yields and the rental market for 2014.
Funny that you say that, Santos, because from what I'm seeing with the real estate agencies I'm working with at the moment and the feedback that I'm getting from sales agents is that rental yields are really quite steady, great returns, and with some recent research that has just come out, Sydney vacancy rates are hovering at about 1.5%. Whereas in Melbourne, they've recorded the highest level of vacancy rate, hovering at about 2.7% of all capital cities, and around about 12,000 vacant rental homes.
So what's your tip for investors for 2014?
My tip, Santos, would be that any investor looking at successfully finding a really good quality tenant and maximising the potential of their property and their rental return is to look at ways in which they can improve the property if need be. So whether that be a renovation, a paint of a wall, a replacement of carpet, but doing those things that really are going to attract a great quality tenant and potentially get you a little bit more in rent per week. Together with that, Santos, it's really making sure that the investor has selected the best rental agent for them, guiding them through a process to make sure that they price the property correctly, have some fantastic marketing to attract a really great quality tenant, because these days tenants are really spoilt for choice. They're very savvy, and now with their first inspection of your property being online, making their decision in the first 30 seconds.
Thanks for joining. I hope it's been informative, and Richardson and Wrench wish you all the best in 2014.